Morning. It is first warning meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. It is a busy morning. I was throwing graphics together, waiting for the National Hurricane Center to put out their 8 a.m. intermediate advisory before I could pop on to Coffee Talk. And here we are, a few minutes late because they had some finishing touches they needed to do. So let's chat about things. First off, the big story, of course, is going to be our local forecast. More strong storms in the forecast today. In the tropics, there are two. Or, in the words of Yoda, there is another. That's right. There are two areas in the tropics that we are tracking, and it's actually looking more and more likely that they both try to develop. So how does one play into the other? And why is this so rare during the month of June? There is a lot to talk about today, and we will certainly be doing that. But first, I say good morning to you. It is Monday after all. Had storms yesterday. We've got more storms in the forecast today. Good morning to you. Here is a live look outside on our Tower Cam network in Lake Dora. A couple of clouds. Thin clouds. Not a bad start to our morning at all. Our first warning live Doppler radar. Just want to make sure the thing's radiating. You can always tell if it's radiating just by flipping over the velocity. If it doesn't have wind, it's not radiating. But it's so quiet this morning. Just had to make sure. So we're looking good there. Temperatures out the door in the mid to upper 70s, depending on where you are. So it is a nice start to our day. And on a day that is a federal holiday, let us take a moment to remember what Juneteenth is. Today is Juneteenth, the final freeing of the slaves, so many years ago. A definite dark spot on our history, but an opportunity for us to always try to remember to treat each other equally today and never make those same mistakes. Beautiful this morning, but yes, we're increasing the clouds and we're watching showers and thunder showers getting more and more active this afternoon. Couple of housekeeping notes. I'm in for Manalfi today, which means that we're not just going to be doing our coffee talk thing this morning. We've got the 3:30 deal. And then 9 o'clock tonight, you want to do whatever you want to do. We call it coffee talk. We call it tea talk. Some of y'all call it pillow talk because you're on your way to bed, right? Whatever it is, we'll have a few live broadcasts today, and we're going to have plenty of stuff to track in the tropics. So, yeah. But first, let us just kind of go over today's forecast. So, it's going to be hot. 91 by 1 o'clock, 93 degrees by 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, let's look around Central Florida for our high temperatures, and there's kind of the overall idea. So it's going to be hot, right? 93 in Orlando. Tourist District, friends, 94 degrees. Yowza. 92 at New Smyrna Beach. Models have been doing a terrible job overall in terms of storm development. But we know that today the atmosphere is such that we could be talking about some strong to severe storms firing up this afternoon and tonight. God, I hope that doesn't mean I have to stay at work until 2 a.m. My body is all over the place. So level 2 out of 5 risk for strong to severe storms, particularly in our northern areas, whereas the metro area, level 1 out of 5 risk. Now, what does this mean, right? In green, that means that out of all the storms firing up, there will be a few isolated strong to severe storms, whereas in our northern spots, scattered strong to severe storms. Now, this will make a little more sense. When I show you Futurecast, okay? So let's just take a look here. And this morning we're fine. Through lunchtime we're fine. When I get into the Weather Center today, we'll already be tracking a few spotty showers there, right? All right, that's 3 o'clock. Then we fire some heavier stuff around, but notice how it's really confined to the beaches through 7 o'clock. That's round 1 of today's showers and storms. Then we move on to late tonight, and you start to see some heavier stuff around Osceola County, but look up to the north. Midnight on. This is where we're going to be watching to see just how strong this little top of intense stormy weather is, right? There's 2:30 tomorrow morning, northern spots. 3:30, 5 a.m., northern spots. Could be talking about some stronger storms, and then it kind of fades out. So it's not today's stormy weather that's focusing on our northwestern areas for the nasty stuff. It's that early tomorrow morning stuff that is providing this threat, okay? So most of us, when you think about today and our storms that we're going to see today is an isolated risk. And then overnight tonight, the storms that do develop could get into that scattered risk, okay? All right, any other questions about that thus far? So when we look at today's forecast, yes, we've got shower, thunderstorm activity firing up, but today's threat isn't going to be like chaotic, okay? So it's, we're going to get some stormy weather. That's the way it goes. We deal with it all the time. Let me just do this. Yeah. So, any questions, comments, concerns, anything? Anything? Huh? Elizabeth, also, you were right. Wesh app way better than the Weather Channel and AccuWeather. I mean, it's personal preference. I can tell you, I've put a lot of work into the Wesh app to make sure that it gives you a ton of pertinent weather information. Hold on, I'm just typing a tweet. Tropical systems developing in the MDR. Join us now live for coffee talk to discuss. All right, just wanted to get a little tweet out. All right. Rita says, I always sleep better when it rains at night. I mean, I would agree, as long as there's not like the severity. I think that's the biggest, at least for me, that's the biggest concern. Like, I don't want severe weather overnight. I also feel the responsibility of warning people when there's severe weather overnight. So, yeah. Yukon, guess I have to wait to dry, then cut the grass today. Yeah. Do it as soon as that sun angle gets a little higher. So, yeah. How is the long range looking for the Gulf around July 6th through the 10th? We're planning a visit to family in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So, Rita, the Mississippi Gulf Coast has an average chance for showers, an average chance for tropical development. We're really looking at Florida's West Coast, Florida's East Coast, and the Carolinas for the heightened threats of tropical activity this year. Yeah. Mickey, mainly a damaging wind concern, I'm assuming. So let's look at the breakdown, right? For today, here's the kind of breakdown of threats. Tornadic threat looks to be highest just out... Oh, wrong arrow direction. Tornado threat looks to be highest just outside of our area. But yeah, the damaging wind threat as that... It's almost like a mini derecho kind of event that's coming in overnight tonight. It's not, but that's the idea. So yeah. Wind, even some hail today, and then, yeah, the damaging wind threat overnight tonight into tomorrow. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, David's asking who's going to replace Alex. So let's chat a little bit about that. So Alex announced yesterday was his last days on the air. As I understand, I still get to work with the Knucklehead the next couple of days. But yes, Alex Alisi is leaving WESH 2. He's moving on to his other passion, which is flying airplanes. Now, before I had kids, I used to fly airplanes, so I could tell you that's pretty much one of the coolest flipping things you could do, period. Slipping the Surly bonds, escaping gravity, defying gravity, that's pretty cool stuff. Like, it doesn't get cooler than that. So, Alex is doing that. I was very clear with him, though, that even though he's going to do that, he's still going to be hanging with me. We're still going to go out on my little inflatable boat. He and I are going to have to go flying together. I haven't flown since having kids, so for me, I would certainly have some fun. So anyway, yeah, I'm a little sad about that one. If I'm 100% honest with you, I adore Alex. And I adore Alex outside of work, So there will be no problems there. I fully intend on still hanging out with him. Just don't get to be colleagues, so that's okay. We each have to lead our own direction, and that's totally cool with me. Totally cool with me. So, yeah. As far as who's to replace Alex, I can tell you that we are in the midst of a national search, and we are looking for the right person. Okay, so we've done some interviewing. There will certainly be more interviewing to do, but the management, I'm grateful that we've got the support of management to find the right person. So, yeah, but it's just sad that Alex is not going to be the right person anymore. I'm gonna miss the little bugger. Kelly says, I think you should just work 24/7. Oh, wait, you do that now. Never mind. Yeah, I need a little bit of sleep, for goodness sake. It's hard to get any sleep sometimes. I nominate Chris Pierce for Alex's, but Chris doesn't want those hours. I promise you. Oh, man. All right, so that's that. Are we okay with that before we move on to the Tropics? Anybody have questions? Anything? Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? All right, then let's go to the Tropics and let's chat about the Tropics. We've got 2 areas that we are monitoring in the Tropics, and the percentages for development are increasing, my friends. Yeah, red and orange, or medium and high likelihood of development. So let's chat about both of them. Give me a second. Let me do this. Let me drop you. See, I do this all on the fly, which means sometimes you get professional quality and sometimes you have to wait a minute. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So let's chat about both of these things. First off, on the left, you've got Invest 92. Okay. That's what we've been watching for the last couple of days from the National Hurricane Center. And as a matter of fact, the Hurricane Center in their advisory today, went out and said, hold on a second, I got to pull it back up. See, this is that whole professional thing I told you that you used to get, but you don't get sometimes. All right, so the one on the left, Invest 92, I'm going to just read you exactly what the Hurricane Center said, all right? Satellite images indicate that the area of low pressure located roughly midway between Africa and the Lesser Antilles has become better organized overnight and is close to becoming a tropical cyclone. If current trends continue, advisories could be initiated on a tropical depression later today. This system is forecast to move generally westward at 15 to 20 miles an hour, with further development across the central tropical Atlantic through the middle part of this week. Additional information on this system, yada, yada, yada. So that's the one on the left. The one on the right. Showers and thunder showers have increased in association with a tropical wave located several hundred miles south-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Further development of this system is possible, and a tropical depression could form within the next few days while the system works 10-15 miles an hour. So, yeah, there are now 2 areas in the main development region, the MDR. There are now 2 areas that we are trying. This is rare. So let's start with the percentages on Invest 92, the one there on the left. Hurricane Center says 100% chance that this gets going in the next 2 days' time. Okay, so there you go. Yukon says Danny Trainer has worked everywhere but Wesh. Let's get him on the air. Wouldn't that be fun? I grew up watching Danny. Would love that. So that's Invest 92. 100% likelihood of getting going. All right. The one behind it will eventually, I would imagine, become Invest 93. That one has a 30% chance of forming over the next 2 days' time. 40% chance of forming over the next 5 days' time. Okay, so there are 2 systems that are developing. Now, we've talked a lot about this, but it's important to keep perspective here, and I want to make sure that we do that, okay? During the month of June, you just don't see development in this area. Case in point, let's look at the June formation zones, okay? In the entire basin, each dot is where a storm has formed. So let's just kind of do a little tour here, right? Obviously, the majority of those storms have formed around the United States, Central America. There's the locations where we have seen formation outside of that time frame, okay? 4 dots there in the Central Atlantic and 2 dots just off the coast of Africa. That's it. Those storms, by the way, you're looking at Anna in 1979. I'm going to go chromatically, chromatically. That's music. No. Chronologically, Anna in 1979. Brett in 2017. Elsa in 2021. And, oh, come on, I clicked the wrong. And then there's an unnamed storm in like 2000. So that said, I'm just going to do a quick, and I'm going to just do a quick Google search here. Okay. Quick Google search on the hurricane season. So I'm going to do a Google search, 1979 hurricane season. All right. I'm going to read you the headline from Wikipedia. The 1979 Atlantic hurricane season was the first hurricane season to include both male and female cyclones. These days, it was... Okay. All right. So, there were 26 depressions, 9 storms, 5 hurricanes, and 2 major hurricanes. So, there was a lot of activity in 1979. Let's look at 2017. 2017 hurricane season. The 2017, it's 17 named storms. So 18 depressions, 17 named storms, 10 hurricanes, 6 major hurricanes. What other year was it? 2017, 2021. 2021 hurricane season. 2021 hurricane season was the 3rd most active hurricane season on record. So, Phil Klotzbach pointed this out yesterday, and it made me go do some case studying. Essentially, though, activity during the month of June in the MDR there typically is a harbinger. I think that's the word he used. I mean, I love that word, but is typically an indicator for a very active season. Hasn't happened very often, but here we are, 2023, kind of getting that indication. We also know that Elsa, the 2021 storm, did end up coming and hitting Florida, so that was fun. But anyway, so there you go. 2 storms in the Atlantic. Now, let's look at the global computer models, because you know that's one of the things we do here on Coffee Talk, and let's see what they're sniffing out for the future, okay? If you're new to Coffee Talk, I see that there's a lot of new viewers. Giddy up. Thanks for joining us. We do this every morning at 8 o'clock. Active season, non-active season, tropics, non-tropics. We kind of do a deep dive every morning at 8 o'clock. But we definitely, during the tropical season, do a deep dive. We look at raw model data. We look at ensemble data, yada, yada, yada. All right. So, Joel's asking a good question, though, regarding those previous systems. None of those were El Niños. So, in other words, okay, let's before I look at the model data here, let's go back to this. That was one caveat that I thought was interesting. None of those, so if we go back to, stand by, if we go back to the development map, okay, all of the systems that formed during the month of June, right? We were just discussing this, and I was waiting for somebody to ask the question. All of these dots, those 4, and then those 2 are kind of subtropical or no-named. But all of these dots here that developed, the harbinger of active seasons, none of those happened during El Nino. So in other words, we're kind of in an uncharted zone here where we are, if any of these form, it would be the first time during an El Nino Southern Oscillation that we would have tropical development in the MDR. All right? Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Now to the models. All right? All right, so this is the American GFS model. We'll just, top left corner, we'll read it together. GFS 0.25 degrees, so high resolution GFS 6Z, initialized 6Z, so it's the most recent run of the GFS. Mean sea level pressure, MSLP, normalized anomaly. So what we're looking at here is areas of higher pressure, areas of lower pressure, kind of gleaming a little bit, okay? Very center of your screen, that orange, that's the Bermuda High. That's the big steering current for the Atlantic. Kind of right where it says the word forecast and forecast high at the bottom, that's Invest 92. So watching it deepens, but right there, notice that's Wednesday, while Invest 92 is developing. Near the word forecast, you've got the system behind it developing, which is why the Hurricane Center is showing both of these as having opportunities for development. All right? All right. Where are they going to go? First off, I think the GFS is actually doing a pretty bang-up job here. Ah, wow. That's cool. Did you miss it? Let me back it up. All right. So what we end up with is the Fujiwara effect. Somebody tweeted yesterday, and I love it. Essentially, I saw a couple of people asking questions, like Brian said, what is the forward motion speed of the second wave? Will the two systems collide? If they do collide, will they become one superstorm, or will they rip each other apart? So, Brian, I saw your question. I waited because I wanted to show you the GFS. If two storm systems come together, they do not collide and become a massive superstorm. Movies play out that way, like the perfect storm, right? Yeah. No, that's not the way that it works. Think about it like this. You're a figure skater and your arms are out and you're spinning, okay? Your arms are out and you're spinning. In order to get faster, you pull your arms in and you're spinning faster. Well, what happens if another figure skater comes right up to you while you're spinning? What if they get right up to you? They're going to touch you and one of you is going to break your spin, right? It's just the way that goes. So essentially, the Fujiwara effect is when you've got one system spinning and another coming up to it, the stronger storm will shear the weaker storm apart just because of its overall cyclonic energy. All right? And we clearly see that here on the GFS. So let's watch right where it says forecast high 91. You've got the two storms. Invest 92, the one on the left, is the stronger, 993 millibars according to this. So what happens is as it starts to recurve, you see the smaller one, let's watch. You see the smaller one getting into its orbit, being sheared apart, and basically absorbed. That, my friends, is the absolute clearest way we could possibly show you of the Fujiwara effect. Pretty cool, huh? And then that lifts to the north, moves away, and then there's another one, looks like, kind of approaching St. Croix. Nothing too strong, but an area of low pressure. Where does that one come from? Oh, that one kind of comes from Africa as well. So interesting. All right, everybody following along. Let me catch up with the comments. John, Carolyn, everybody's talking about Fujiwara. Laura says, whoa, right? Remember, the atmosphere is a river of air. It's fluid dynamics. It really is. It's wild the way that works. Joy says, I've learned so much about weather patterns since joining Eric in the morning back in 2017. Thank you. Well, thank you, Joyce, for hanging out with us in the morning. But it's incredible how that works, isn't it? It's incredible how that works. All right, let me dial up the European model data. If I click the right button. Okay, let me rewind you. Okay, European model data. Let's take a look, shall we? Top left, ECMWF 6Z. The 6Z only goes out 90 hours, then I'll go to the 0Z, but watch, there you go. It tries to develop both of them. You can see the two dots on the bottom of the screen there, and then that's as far as the 6Z goes. That's 90 hours out. So let me switch to the 0Z, and it kind of absorbs both of them and doesn't do much. All right, so the European is really trying to keep this weaker. Okay, I mean, that's cool. I'm definitely down with that. Now we get to the ensembles. You ready for that? What's an ensemble? So we'll start here. This is the GFS ensemble. Think of it as the GFS run 51 different ways. gives us a chance to not just look at what the GFS is saying, but if we were to take think about it like this. Everybody that has twins or triplets says, yeah, they're their own person. What if you had 51 different kids at the same time? They'd each be a little different, right? That's what the ensemble is. All right, so let's just roll through time. Ensemble support for at least the GFS on development is going down, right? A couple of lows, but the GFS ensembles do not really want to develop the second one until late down the line. Let's look at the European ensembles. Let me rewind this. We'll switch over to the European ensembles. European is trying to develop both of them on the ensembles. You see that? The two clusters of L's on the bottom of the screen there? But because they're weaker, they kind of degenerate them and just make them kind of areas of moisture and nothing more. So, interesting stuff there. Absolutely interesting stuff. Brittany's asking, so basically both keep them far away from Florida. You know, both try to keep them pretty weak. That's kind of... And because it's kind of weak, it's not one of those situations of major concern, you know? Yeah. Mike's asking, have I seen the HWRF? Not this morning. I saw it yesterday. But we can look together. Eigewalt. All right, let's pull up the HWRF. If you're unfamiliar, this is a tropical model. All right. So the HWRF wants to bring it, up to a major hurricane and bring it into the islands. Okay, I mean, that's cute. Let's look at the more synoptic scale, HWRF pressure. Yeah, I mean, it's at 962 and 997. I mean, that's cute. That's cute. So, yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. The HWRF definitely has a vorticity bias. It wants to really constantly spin up storms. The HWRF is more used... It's more used for tracking storms that have already undergone tropical cyclone genesis. You don't really want to use it for the genesis of the system because the HWRF wants to assume that it's developed and is developing. You're looking at it for more... Once it gets forming, let's look at the more, synoptic, mesoscale type things, the inputs, the impacts, that sort of thing. Yeah. All right, Karen, I sure know a lot of Yiddish. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's how my parents used to call me names. Kevin, given the current rate of activity, will the 2023 hurricane season be over by July 4th? Yeah, no, it will not. Yep. Sorry. Roxanne's asking, does it look like it will impact Puerto Rico? They need the rain. Puerto Rico, do they need the rain? Didn't they just get like a massive flooding event a week ago? I don't know. At any rate, there's a couple systems that we'll be watching. It's too early to tell where it's going to go. It's just a matter of does it develop or not. I see a few of you asking, does this fit the long pattern? If it wants to, so the short answer is it doesn't fit the long pattern in terms of like hitting anybody. But that said, that there's more than meets the eye. Okay, if it were to be a system that wants to like recurve, that sort of thing, then it would. And I only say that because in looking at the observation that we had taken, okay, there was a ton of activity that kind of hung off the shoreline or went into the Caribbean. So this is not a part of a pattern that really wants to focus on Florida or the Carolinas, but there was a ton of activity. Why is my mouse acting all weird all of a sudden? There we go. There's a ton of activity that was out to sea. So I can go back and case study and see if this like fits a particular part of it. But, for now at least, All I could tell you is it doesn't fit like a direct landfall. But yeah, there you go. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? So no threat to us. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying for now, it's not a part of the overall pattern. We just have to watch. That's all. We just have to watch. It's hurricane season. We have to watch. Bo says, not scared at all. Bring on all the hurricanes. I need some time off of work. Did I mention I don't want to have to work all hours of the day? I really don't. All right. You know what's something else interesting that I didn't go and do is the visible satellite. Stand by. Let me drag that in here. I haven't even looked at the visible yet this morning. Hold on. Yeah. So the one on the left absolutely has more organization. Let me change. Give me a few seconds to do a couple tweaks to the color table. Satellite visible. All right, that's pretty good for us. All right. Now that's only 2 hours. How far back? I just want to look and see. 4 hours? Was it daylight 4 hours ago? All right, it was just the beginning of daylight. Okay. 4 hours. Let's look at the first visible satellite imagery of the day. Let's look at this up close here. Yeah. I mean, the one on the left is definitely undergoing tropical cyclone genesis. I would fully expect that is... Oh, you know what? We've got to change to the database. Do we have a new invest? I literally just saw something change. All right, stand by a second. Let me look. Main database. We have Invest 93. So the one behind it, NHC has just tagged. Hold on, let me just tweet this image. Social media movie. Stand by. This is the making sausage thing. NHC has just tagged the second wave on the right as Invest 93. So now we have Invest 92 on the left, 93 on the right. All right, sorry. Just posting that to my Facebook and my other stuff. But it makes sense. That fits criteria. I would also venture to say, though, that Invest 92 is probably going to be upgraded later today. So there you go. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns, anything? Anything at all? Maybe, maybe not. What's the timetable when we know where it goes? I mean, at this point, it's just starting to get its act together, so I'm not worried. But that one on the left there, my friends, that Invest 92, it's looking better organized for sure. Yeah, there's the infrared satellite imagery. All right. That's all I got for you. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. Oh, I see it. Let's see here. I'm very concerned about storm hitting here around tomorrow morning. No need to be concerned. We are going to be watching. We're going to be taking our time. Do not be concerned. Do not worry. Karen says it's going to be a rough season. Looks like at the very least it's going to be a busy season, right? That much we can do. All right. So today, Juneteenth. Showers and thunder showers. Some of them could get a little feisty out east of town. And then overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, we're going to have some storms around. Summer begins on Wednesday, and then we're going to keep those storm chances around. All right? All right, listen. I'll be tweeting through the day. I'll be Facebooking at 3:30. I'll be on at 4, 5, 5:30, 6, 10, and 11, and we'll do another coffee talk at 3:30, the afternoon update where we just kind of get that refresher. Okay, and then 9 o'clock tonight, we'll do it again. Are we going to have Brett? Are we going to have a tropical depression? The drama only builds. I'll see y'all later. Bye.